Hi, everyone. Welcome. My name is Heather Havenwood. I am super excited that you're here today for another amazing edition talking about you and your business and your life and how you can expand that every single step of the way. So today I am with Josh Elledge. Did I say that right, Josh?
Yeah, Elledge, sure.
That works. Okay. So Josh is a U.S. Navy veteran and launched upmyinfluence.com to help turn entrepreneurs into media celebrities, increasing their authority, influence, and revenue. He's also started savingsangel.com, which has grossed more than $6 million in sales with less than $500 in advertising. Josh writes a syndicated newspaper column to 1.1 million readers and regularly appears on more than 75 TV stations across the country. All told, Josh has appeared in the media more than 2,000 times. Well, congratulations.
Crazy.
Yeah, great.
Thank
How long
you.
have you been doing this?
So I launched Savings Angel 11 years ago, and that was the brand that when I launched, I knew exposure was everything. So I reached out to a local radio station. I just needed audiences is really what I needed. And the problem was I didn't have any money. So I was broke. I was in the process of, I just lost a house and I couldn't even pay my utility bill, but I had this great idea, I thought. And so I just started serving audiences. And because of that, got great exposure, and Savings Angel ended up doing pretty well. So
what does that mean?
So TV, radio, syndicated column, syndicated TV, syndicated radio, like all of the above. And it's been a real joy. To just serve and spend your days and years in service.
So Speakers Angels, what kind of, it says $6 million in sales. What does it do? What's the service?
So Savings Angel for the longest time has been a membership-based website. And we actually closed that side of it about a year ago, just simply because consumer interest in the solution that we were providing had kind of waned. But we had 7-figure years, 6-figure months, especially in the days of extreme couponing. And so what we would do is we would database everything that local grocery stores were doing, database everything that, every available conceivable discount that you could get. And then we would say, listen, if you take this coupon to this store, you can get free Cheerios this week. And so people would pay us $20 a month and they would save $300, $400, $500 off their grocery bill. So it's pretty awesome. But, it's interesting. The economy really started improving and people just lost interest in it. And that's okay, because I had already kind of moved on, and Savings Angel exists today as a more kind of a traditional blog, which is great. We love the education side of it anyway. That's always been my favorite part.
Interesting. And so you're in Orlando, and you lived there for all since 2001 to 2007, 8. You lost your house. Were you there during the downturn?
No, so this was in Michigan when we lost house number 2. House number 1 was out west. So as a serial entrepreneur, you try things, you realize you don't know everything,
right.
You make bad mistakes, but every time you do that, you get better and better at it. And then finally, my 7th business venture ended up doing very, very well. So, I think that should be good news for someone who's like struggling right now, like, oh, this sucks. I'm like, have heart. Look, everybody goes through that. At least most people go through that.
Most entrepreneurs really do go through it. And I have this saying, and people always kind of get irritated with me when I ask them who they're, someone they really like inspired by. And anytime they say someone like Mark Zuckerberg, I just like croak in my throat and they're like, why? His Facebook is huge. I'm like, he has never failed.
Yeah.
Right? I'm like, now give me Steve Jobs, who literally lost his company. He was living in basement or whatever it was, a garage of his pictures of him, even Elon Musk lived on some dude's couch for 6 months and barely was eating Cheeto Puffs. I mean, give me that story, versus the guy who's like, I just thought of something and makes him a billionaire. You're like, oh.
Yeah, and that's a very American thing. I've known this rags to riches where, somebody just becomes an overnight success. And look, Mark had a backstory too. I mean, he just happened to hit his stride very young and then, surrounded himself with some smart people and some smart advisors, and that speeds up the process. So, but this idea of this rags to riches, we deal with this a lot with the work that we do. Obviously, we get people, obviously, Heather, you've been in all sorts of media. Our clients, when they want to get in the media, they want to be famous, they want to get connected to, Oprah or Today Show or whatever it is. we have to let them know that it's very much a process, and that if you look at like 99.99999% of success stories out there, it absolutely is an investment in that journey. And you'll get there. And again, if you surround yourself with smart people who have access and connections and can make things happen for you very quickly, then I think you can rise much faster.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, no, I get that. I think that people don't understand that the overnight success is them busting their booty for 10 years or 15 years.
Yep.
Years. It really isn't. I'm in the speaking business and influence business since 2001, and people don't understand what it really takes to be on stage and what it takes to run an event. And so many times I'd be sitting in events and the ticket price per head was $3,000, and there'd be someone in the audience that we would hear about who's over there like, wow, look at all the money they're making. They're $3,000, and I'm like, yeah, but you don't know how much money it took to get you guys here, So I think that there's an automatic set. So I love what you guys you're creating up the influence. Could you give us a kind of an idea? One, I want to talk about what you do, of course, but I also really want to have a conversation about influencers today, because they've really changed in the last, I say 3 years. 10 years. So I really want to have this really good conversation about influence today. So what do you guys do first?
So what we do is we turn thoughtful entrepreneurs into media celebrities with the express purpose of increasing their authority, increasing their influence, and ultimately increasing their revenue. We want them to we want our clients to make a lot of money by properly using all of that authority. I mean, you can gain authority, but if you don't cash it in, it's like, okay, so you're just, this famous philosopher that lives in the woods. We want to make sure that you're, that you're out doing good stuff with your superpowers. With great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah, absolutely. That's true. So I love what you guys are doing. You're really creating a conversation about taking entrepreneurs and putting them in the spotlight in multiple ways, not just spotlight TV. But let's talk about influencers, because now we're the nowadays of like, we have YouTube influencers, and you've got gamers who are like making $1 million because they're influencing the gaming space.
Oh yeah.
The world of influence has gone from, I'm in my 40s, so like, you've been around too, right? We've gone from, the Oprah back in the day influencer to a Kim Kardashian, like whatever she does. And then now we're dealing with influencers. We don't even know their names necessarily, but they have millions and millions of followers. So what's going on? Like what has happened with influence market?
Well, so, really in our world, we focus a lot on authority, and authority and influence are kind of similar. But I think authority, it's interesting if you look at, well, what is authority and how do I get it? Well, authority today comes from two places. Some people say, well, I'm going to make a lot of money and that will give me authority. And that's not the case. There's a correlation, but it's not necessarily causation. So today, there's two things you want. Number one is social proof. Social proof simply means in today's currency that you've got a big audience, and you've got a big audience of social media. Your website is well trafficked. You've got a decent email list, but people, outside people, can very quickly see that people respect your voice. And so what happens then is, of course, they don't want to feel like they're getting left behind. And so it's like, let's say you see someone and then you go to their Instagram and they've only got 50 followers, you're like, oh, okay. Whereas opposed you go to someone else's and they've got 50,000 followers. It just communicates something different. So that's number one, is social proof. Number two would be your associations. So Heather, you've had the great pleasure of speaking on stages. That is a very, very powerful association. Okay, so this this organization or this event has chosen to associate with Heather Havenwood. So what that does for you is that absolutely increases your authority. So if you want pretty much every metric in business to improve, I can't stress this enough about how critical it is to invest in your authority. So you're building your audience, and then you're always looking to associate with people who may have bigger audiences, and that is how you rise. The best way to do influencer marketing is to become an influencer yourself.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, so I'm going to repeat what you said and then ask a question. So I completely agree with you. We talked about influence has changed. You're saying that the market of influence is really the currency of influencing is really their audience, is what I heard you say, right? Okay, and the best way to be what'd you say? The best way to understand influence is actually be an influencer yourself.
Yeah. So there's, obviously there's this whole thing, influencer marketing. Nike says, hey, how do we get all these athletes to start talking about Nike shoes? And so then hopefully they've got a good relationship building system. So with Savings Angel, I do a lot of influencer work. So I've got an audience of, tens of thousands of moms that want advice on, what's the best way to save money on this, or what are great products and services that can help increase my quality of life. So, I work with brands like USAA, a lot of financial brands. And so the idea is that, we would build a relationship. As an influencer, I would really get to a point where I would believe in their product and service. And I feel like that is where a lot of evolution has taken place, at least I'd say for the vast majority of influencers, is that brands are much more sensitive to, look, we don't want to engage with you unless you can really get behind what we're doing. Like we want to invest in the relationship a lot more. So USAA I've been working with for years and years and years. And I think they were very smart where, they don't pay big bucks, at least not to me. I mean, we have a good working relationship, but they focus on, just being able to spend time together, me getting to know their services. They're really good at, here's what we're doing. Tell me how you feel about this. Like, I feel like I get to, provide input on things. Like, it's a great symbiotic relationship. And I think that is where I'm seeing a lot more brands wanting to go, and smart influencers are going along with that.
Okay, so, and by the way, if you're on the video, you're going to see me do a video here because I'm doing Instagram video of our podcast here with Josh. So smile really big, Josh, for Instagram followers. Okay, so I do have a question. How does one, and this is a big question, Josh, so I know it's a broad question. It's kind of like saying, how do you be successful in life, right? But how does one become an influencer?
Sure. And it's really interesting. It's like, it's kind of like the same question of how do you get something to go viral? And I've studied this a lot. And here's the thing, is a lot of people think I'm going to just produce this amazing piece of content, and then 100 people are going to see it, and they're each going to share it with 100 people, and it's going to just grow this perfectly symmetrical, viral growth. That's not how viral stuff. It's not how it works at all.
Because that doesn't seem like it works for me.
Yeah. So really what you want to do is you need to make sure that your content or your thought or whatever it is that you're contributing, it has to get in the hands of people who have really big audiences. And so the way that it works, let's say you get it like some news, you're featured in some news story. You're a local band, and for some matter of fact, I'm thinking of this because this is perfect. So like there's this band Greta Van Fleet. It sounds like Led Zeppelin. They're a new band. They're like these kids, like they're like fresh out of high school. And somehow, like I saw a news story about them linked on the Drudge Report, which I don't go to very often, but I happen to see them. I'm like, what? And so I click, and then, these guys have really just exploded because of these influencers who promote them to their really, really big audiences. So that's what you have to do. So here's the thing. You need to invest in relationships with influencers. And those influencers may be on social media. They may be they have really big blogs, big email lists, or, we do a lot of work with influencers who happen to work in the media. Because digital media has generally really big audiences. If VentureBeat or TechCrunch or CNET or whoever it is does a story about your product or service, or they quote you as an expert, that's really, really good for business. It's going to give you good visibility, but actually more important than that is that actually just gave you this amazing stamp of approval that now when you share this with the people that already know, like, and trust you, you're going to find your conversion rate, your email response rate, your sales cycle shorten, like your speaking opportunities, like everything improves. Like I got to speak at a Tony Robbins online event last month. You better believe I shared that with all my audience. And as a result, like I had several people that were like, what? And this is really interesting how they're like, why, when you get these little wins, why this is so critical.
Yeah.
So what it is it's valid. Your audience, they want to see you validated. And when you do get validated, a few things happen psychologically to your audience, your tribe. Number one, it feels really good for them because now they feel smart that they invested with you early in the early days, and now you're getting all this recognition. It's validation for the movement or the tribe or whatever you represent. So now they feel like, oh, I knew I was right when I subscribed to that email list or started following that Instagrammer. And so that's the first thing. Second thing is if they're not like really engaged with you, or they're not, maybe they're not yet paying for your products and services, it creates this little bit of urgency where they feel like, uh-oh, now Heather's really going to get a big head and she's going to like quadruple her rates. She's not going to be able to work with me anymore. So I better hurry up on this thing and ride along with her. People love doing business with winners, and winners are celebrated in the media. Winners are celebrated by other influencers. So that's what we want to create.
So, okay. This is great conversation for me because I'm right now, how do we say this with it? I'm looking to figure out a way to be an influencer, or trying to be, or I think I am, or I don't know, there's a moment where people come to me and they tell me you're an influencer, and I'm like, I don't feel I am, but okay. I mean, I'm like, great, awesome. That's wonderful. Thank you. But my question is, how do you increase that? How do I really start to play at a bigger level to really get my message out there? Because my mission in life, and I'm just, we're kind of a little consulting conversation here, but my mission in life is to really help every single woman on the planet know that they can start and run their own company and have financial freedom. I mean, that's my why in life, right? And then I help men and women, doesn't matter, but like I have a mission to help every single woman on the planet to know. I love it. Possible for them, no matter where they are in the world, no matter what age they are, they can have financial independence. So that's my big why. Yeah. And then I have things that I do, right? So in the world of influence, I mean, again, I'm kind of asking like these esoteric questions, like how in the world do you create that if you don't have connections with a Kim Kardashian or big, huge influencers? Like how do you start that?
So we all want that, like that make friend button, like her. I want to make friends with her. Make friends. Hey, now we have this like relationship. It's like, so you start to, so it's kind of like the same thing, like how does any relationship begin? And I'll tell you that the first thing, like internet dating is a great analogy. So the first, because the first thing is obviously, and we do a lot of work with our clients in this. So the first thing before we even say, hello, I'd like to go on a date, is you got to make sure that you look good, right? So, so
your profile looks good, right?
Yeah. So, so social media profile optimization is critical. So Heather, you can look at Heather's social media profiles. Heather, you got it dialed in. Like you clearly, you have the look of a professional. And so because of that, and this,
oh my God, I'm like, take it back coming from you. I'm like, really? Oh my God.
Yes. Yeah. And this is really important because
over here, because I like, you're such a professional, and I'm like, I'm waiting for you to like clamor it. I'm like, so thank you for that. I really
you got it. I mean, showing you on stage, we can always, all of us can always improve. And what I have on my profiles, it's not perfect, but it performs. And so because it performs, I like that. So, so listen, you will attract, let's talk specifically about sales. You will attract the quality of customer relative to the quality of your branding. So if you've got cheesy phone videos and you're like holding a cat and it's just blurry and it's like, you're like, what's going on in the background? And it's like, it's like a full body shot and that's your social media profile image,
Yeah.
And I see a lot of this. We see this all the time. And I'm like, okay, so that's not going to perform well. That's not going to work. So when I see that, whenever anybody sees that, it screams amateur. And I don't say that in a bad way. Amateur is not a bad word. It's just, do you want to be an influencer or do you want to be just, general social media user? And it's not judgment of good or bad. It's just like, if you're saying, Josh, I want to get on bigger stages, I want to charge big money, I want influencers to take me seriously, then one of the first things you need to do is, again, optimize all your social media profiles. We're really big on the two that we really care about right now, especially we have a lot of B2B clients. So LinkedIn and Twitter are so critical. But Facebook, if you're at the early stages of business, optimizing your Facebook personal profile for business is really critical, particularly if you participate in Facebook groups. And again, to the person who's just brand new starting your business, there is not a smarter thing you could do right now than optimize your profile and you can search my name and you can look at all my social media profiles and just copy what I do because it works. And then just participate in groups and be helpful. Okay, but let's talk specifically about this path to getting influencers, get their attention so that they say, yes, I want to work with Lucy or whoever, right? Yeah, Heather. Yeah. And so again, optimize focus on invest in your branding, do whatever you can. You know what, if you're just scraping by, maybe your help might come in the way of Fiverr, and you got to do what you got to do. And you know what, where you are today is not going to be where you are in 6 months, 12 months, 6 years from now. It's an evolution, always evolving. Yeah, that's the word. So number one, optimize all your profiles. And then make sure on your website, you've got a basic press kit. You've got, don't be afraid to show you on your site. People love doing business with people, not things, not faceless corporations. So be bold in your personal brand. That's number one. Now that you're presentable, now we can start this process of connection. So the first thing is identify the influencers that you want to connect with. Curate them. And using Twitter, for example, you would put each of them into a separate Twitter list, like social media influencers, local media, national media, industry media, whatever it is, right? And so you have all these lists. And the reason you want to do this, because generally most people's Twitter feeds are a mess. It's just, if you're following a few thousand people, it's just going to be a big hodgepodge, and you'll never know what your influencer friends are talking about. And it's really important that you follow what they're talking about. That's step two, is curate, put them in on the list. Number three is get to know what they're talking about and engage. So like their stuff, reply to their stuff, retweet their stuff, make them look good. Okay, just whatever you do, don't be creepy. Like as long as you're not creepy, you're going to be okay. And that's number three. And then, number three, number four, something like that. And then the next step would be whatever number we're on, is that you would offer to be helpful. And some people call this the pitch, but I really want you to think about pitching completely different. And most people, when if I spoke to a room and I said, all right, for the next 5 minutes, I want everybody to go do PR stuff. So if I actually made them sit there for 5 minutes and start scrambling and whatever, I'm like, at the end of the 5 minutes, I'd say, all right, what did you guys do? And people will be like, I just emailed some influencers and just started talking about our services and stuff like that. And I'm like, no, that's the worst thing you could do. And that's what we all want to do, because a lot of us we're aware of marketing. I feel like we have, we wear good marketing hats, but in this world, you cannot sell, you cannot market. Otherwise, you're not going to get past square one. They're not going to talk to you because it's not their job. Media influencers, is not their job to promote your stuff.
They're not. Yeah, this is great. I just want to stop for just a second.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, PR, it is not their job to promote their stuff. So as a National K radio host, I get pitched by New York and LA PR companies all day long.
Yeah.
And I find it fascinating. The most horrible pitches on plan it. And just recently I responded to one because I actually read it and I went a little deeper on this one for some reason. Like the girl, I liked the person they were promoting. And I responded, I said, I actually want to promote this person. However, that is the worst pitch I've ever had or seen in my life, ever.
Yeah.
But I'm still willing to get past that. Now, they never responded. My point is that this person, whoever she is spending a lot of money with this New York public, PR person that's on Fifth Avenue, by the way. And I know she's spending a lot of money, and I've never heard back. And that's been 2 weeks. And so my point,
unbelievable.
Please just understand, just because you spend money with a PR company, people, it is not out of your hands.
No way. And this is the thing that infuriates me, Heather, about the PR industry. There's very, very good people. Some of the best people on the planet, are in PR, and they mean to do well. But the problem is that the industry has not kept up with technology. We've got this great thing called Twitter. And, I just kind of went through the beginning stages of like how to use Twitter. And then you reach out, you're helpful. And it's when I say helpful, it's like, that they have content to produce. So if you can become the eyes and the ears for your industry and offer to help them with a future story with no expectation of return, and you've even let them know, hey, look, I don't need any promotion of any kind. I'm just a total geek on this subject. You are going to get their respect, especially if it is business owner to influencer. When you put that PR person in the middle, it messes up the dynamic, which is why, we're exploding right now, because we don't do PR. We don't rep our clients. We actually remain invisible, make them look like rock stars, and they make a lot more money, and it costs like 1/4 of what they pay a regular PR firm. I blew 25 grand to a PR firm, got one good introduction, and I got to speak at a lawn and garden show. That was my $25,000.
All right. I'm sorry.
Unbelievable.
I don't want me to laugh at you, but I mean,
happens all the time.
It happens all the time. And I have to just share, this is another kind of bad story. And I, again, if someone's listening, they're like, oh, it's not true. I got pitched by a PR company, again, big, been around 20 years. They pitched me. I said, yes. It was actually happened to be someone in their company, which was kind of odd. And so fine. We show up on this interview like we're doing today. He was on a laptop. He had no microphone. He had no headset. He was on a laptop that wasn't even connected to it was Wi-Fi, wasn't connected to even a source. Okay. And this, of course, the microphone was portable, and the camera was bad because he was using just like this small laptop. And I asked him, I need to be on camera, and like simple stuff. I was like, where's your microphone? This guy, he's like been in PR, and because I read his bio, he's been in PR for 25 years. And then I started reading his bio because I was reviewing right before I got started. It was in first person. So, I, Josh, and I went, your bio's in first person. He's like, well, just change it. I go, that's not my job.
Yeah. You do that, media. You do my work for me.
I'm sorry, but that's not my job. I need to read. And he got angry at me, yelled at me, and I said, I'm not doing this interview. And again, I'm not trying, but I just want you to get the people who've been in the media for 25 years, this particular person, they don't know how to do this kind of media. They haven't kept up with what we're doing today on Facebook Live and Roku and just, syndicated podcasts. They don't know how to do that. And they've never pitched me again, which is totally fine with me. So my point of that was that I think PR companies are behind. They're just really, they just don't know what they're doing.
Very, very behind. Yeah, I've spoken on this this topic a couple of times at Social Media Marketing World about how to leverage social media. And honestly, what I've just laid out, I just saved, the person who's listening to this, I've saved you thousands and thousands of dollars and months, maybe years of heartache by trying to outsource this to somebody else. You really can do this internally. It's not rocket science. It's just about investing in relationships. I mean, one of our core values is human connection. And, if you're authentically trying to bring value to people, they will promote you. So if you tell an influencer, and someone, as I was explaining this earlier, was probably thinking, wait a minute, but what's in it for me? It's like, don't worry. Here's the thing. When you're working with a professional, an influencer, someone in the media, and you say, look, don't worry about promoting me. It's like saying, are you a hero? No, I'm not a hero. Then you're a hero, right? Heroes aren't allowed to say they're a hero. It's kind of like that. It's like you can't ask to be promoted. And if you take the humble approach and you take the, hey, I just love this subject, and if I can serve your audience, I'm all over it, then the host or the media personality or the influencer is going to say, all right, cool. They can relax. And then you know what a professional's always going to do? They're going to promote you in some way. And it's always going to come across more authentic anyway. I'm sure you've seen those interviews with authors, and they're like, on page 87 of my new book, you can be a winner. It's like, wah! It's like, don't do that. Yeah.
So, okay. All right. Let's go through your steps again. And then my big question is, and you kind of just said it, was how do you be helpful? Like,
yeah,
pitching. That's my brain's wrapping. Like, how do you do that, Josh?
Right, exactly. So again, number one is make sure you look good. Get your social media profiles optimized so that people take you seriously. Because if you look amateur hour, doesn't matter how great your outreach is, they're just not going to work with you. If you want to be on TV, you have to use video on your website and in social media. You will never be on TV if they can't see you performing well on video. So that's number one. Number two is you identify who it is that you want to work with. Number three is you curate and you put them into Twitter lists. Okay. And then number four is that you engage with them and you make them look good. You get on their radar. You bring them value first. And then number five, then and only then, after you feel like you've got some sort of relationship, now we get into, well, give me an example of being helpful. So I would say, for example, a tweet would be, hey, at Fox35 Amy, loved your story this morning on Uber. It's actually a really big story. I actually blogged about this. Would love to guest this week if you need someone. But it's a big, big story, and love to talk about maybe like a local impact. And so that would be, it's not a perfect pitch, but that would work because it just feels natural. It's like, and if you speak with confidence, especially like, for example, with TV, I said, I can guest this week. So that's where, so like our clients.
Yeah. What do you mean by I can guess this week? What does that mean?
Yeah. So in TV, there's a certain vocabulary. Like there's a lot of this whole language that you use in the media. And if you have a lot of experience, you know to use that language because it makes you sound like an insider. So our job with our clients is we want to make them all sound like insiders. Like, oh yeah, I do media all the time. Like then in their mind, they're like, okay, safe bet. Because in the media world, media cannot take risks with bad guests. It is horrible. I've been in green rooms with producers and they're watching like the guest that's on TV and they're like, okay, they'll never be on air again. And like, really? They're like, Josh, you don't understand. If we have a bad guest, we could lose 5-10 viewers because it's just like, something about that, that NBC5, and NBC, it just doesn't seem really great. And so we cannot afford to lose 5 viewers. And so every guest has to be amazing. So that's the pressure that they feel. It's tough working in media. If you're a digital journalist, if you're a blogger, if you're a social media celebrity, there's this constant pressure to produce great stuff that your audience is going to love. And if you have a stinker, like if you say, okay, we're going to take a chance on this guest, and then the guest doesn't pan out, you're like, okay, I just wasted all this time. We can't even use this. You have to understand that is ultimate pain for an influencer, is to invest a bunch of time in something that doesn't pan out. So do everything in your mortal power to make their job super easy
Yes.
and to show that working with you is going to be a breeze and it's going to be very successful.
That's great. And then, and someone who, I mean, as a nationally syndicated radio host, I get pitched all the time. And my worst ones is when they don't make it easy for me. They make me do all the heavy lifting.
Forget it.
And when I'm a guest, I do everything as I possibly can. Is what I do all the heavy lifting for them.
Yeah. No, it's if that's what you're expecting of your influencers, forget it. You're gonna find PR to be really difficult.
Yeah.
And you're gonna give up on it and you're gonna say it doesn't work, or I'll try hiring somebody else. And then if they're still doing the spray and pray method, it's not gonna work for them either. And you're gonna end up losing tens of thousands of dollars. What I just outlined, I promise you, after more than a decade of doing this, I'm telling you that this is what works today. In 2018, look, 5 years ago, I think you could have still gotten away with a lot of this stuff. Today, forget it. Forget it. We're journalists are way, a syndicated columnist myself. Like our guard is always up because we get hit up on, with all this stuff. So it's like, you've got 3 to 5 seconds to start making sense before I hit the delete button. And if you don't catch their attention and you don't make it look easy and amazing in the first 5 seconds, it ain't going to happen.
Well, this is really awesome. I could ask you forever, and I'm running out of time, so that's on my bad end here. But I just want to say thank you so much for this. And where can they find you? Where can they say, I am interested in working with you?
Yeah, the best stuff. We do so much pro bono work for brand new business owners, small, medium-sized business owners. I do a 90-minute webinar that if you like what you heard here, we're going to get really, really tactical, and I'm going to explain step by step exactly what you want to have optimized. Going to go through every single possible way that you can get media, but that's at upmyinfluence.com.
Got it. So upmyinfluence.com.
Yeah.
I'd love to continue talking to you. My up against the clock. Josh, thank you so much for your time. Please go check out Josh at upmyinfluence.com. Check him out on social media as well. Do you want to give your Twitter handle while you're at it?
Yeah, I'm at Josh Elledge. I've got about 60,000 followers. And if you say, woohoo, I was on Heather's show, like, let me know, I'll retweet that to the world. So, and love to promote, love to promote, whatever you're doing. I'm speaking to the watcher, the viewer, the listener, like, let me know what you're doing. I'll retweet you. I will do that. That's how we all get ahead. We all help one another. We all grow together.
I love that. Well, thank you. Thank you for that. And uptheinfluence.com, go check out Josh. And this is Heather Havenwood. I appreciate you. And thanks for listening.